This entire window has been blown completely off, the sash and everything, multiple screens out, and then follow me right over here, and we've got actually an entire house right here that has been reduced to just smoldering rubble. You take a look here behind me, you can see just how muddy this ditch is here on the north side of Lorena. Now, police say they put down spike strips, and he actually managed to swerve around them and ended up here in the ditch. It's all the pictures and videos without all of this boring writing to scroll down through.
The storage units do have security cameras. In fact, 8 of them. The problem is they don't cover the back side of the building.
If you look right over here, that used to be a glass door. It's completely blown out. It is now an open window. People inside, workers, are cleaning up right now, trying to get this place back to normal, mopping up some of the water that's been coming down through the roof. And like I said, that wind damage blew off significant portions of the roof here at the Hobby Lobby. If you need a little bit more proof, here's some bricks from the building laying right here on the sidewalk.
KCEN HD News reporter Chris Davis joins us now live in Bruceville, Eddy. And Chris, it's the same scene everywhere.
Yeah, just ice, ice, and more ice, Doug. And this is the kind of thing you find anywhere you go outside, a pretty thick layer of ice covering every single surface that it can find. Usually the only icicles in central Texas have lights on them. Today, these are actual icicles. Road crews spread sand on bridges and overpasses to keep people from sliding. On 190 in Killeen this morning, they were still treacherous enough to cause a few accidents. No serious injuries were reported. By mid-morning, major roads had pretty much thawed.
It's mainly just like decks and steps, stuff like that, really.
Plus windshields, playgrounds, even flags frozen in mid-wave.
Power went out about 9 o'clock.
Encore worked for a few hours to get power back to about 3,000 homes near Belton and Jarrell. It was back on by about noon.
That's actually pretty quick. I give them props on that. They were real quick responding to it. There was trucks all over the place out here.
Meanwhile, schools across the area let out early. Lorena parents lined up in a light snow to get their kids about an hour early.
What are you going to do? It's Texas. The weather's like this at least once every 3 years.
Some wondered about the decision to hold school at all today.
It was rough from the get-go.
Spokespersons for Belton and Killeen ISDs say they based that decision on road conditions. They say it simply wasn't that bad this morning. They'll reassess as the temperature drops again tonight and drivers face potentially frozen roads in the morning. Now, driving around today and then this evening, the roads actually look pretty good. There's not a whole lot of ice out there. You can actually see even the side roads back here in Bruceville, Eddy, are just kind of wet at this point. Now, that's not to say that there aren't going to be slick spots, so do be careful out there, and there is a lot of moisture. So as that temperature drops, this has the potential to refreeze, and some districts have already announced cancellations or delayed starts tomorrow, so you can check all of those on our website at kcentv.com. A long line of cars covers both sides of McLaughlin Road.
Everybody's doing what they can do.
They're not cop cars.
Just help each other out.
But they, too, responded to the call.
I mean, if my daughter was out here or if I was out here, I'd hope that somebody would come out and be trying to help in whatever way.
They're volunteers like Dean England and his 2 kids. On horseback and 4-wheelers, they search around Lake Waco for any signs of 24-year-old Brittany Stevenson. The car she was in drove through a barrier and into the water last night. The other person in the car escaped. She told investigators she never saw Stevenson do the same. Search crews pulled the car from the lake at around 8 this morning. And that's when the real search started. Now animal and human team up to comb the terrain.
It's wet, there's a lot of thorn bushes, there's a lot of trees zigzagging in and out.
To look for any sign she made it out of the water.
It's a good thing the horses are here because there's a lot of pipe that we have to go over, a lot of stumps that we can go over where otherwise 4-wheelers can't get into.
The search crews pack up as the sun sets and Waco police set up barricades. They'll camp here overnight before getting back in the saddle alongside the impromptu search party.
As long as we're an asset and as long as we stay warm and are able to help and not hinder, then we'll stay.
It may be cold, but the constant rain can't dampen the hope they're keeping alive. In Waco, Chris Davis, KCEN HD News. Robots don't decide where to go. They don't choose how to move their arms or what to pick up. They don't connect their own circuits. Robots need direction.
Yeah.
13-year-old Colleen Goggin sits behind the controls to provide it.
People say that girls can't be engineers and they can't do anything guys can do.
People are often wrong. The metallic clouds and their robot bolts prove it.
We're a team of 6 to 7 girls building a robot in 6 weeks.
Waco's all-girl robotics team is one of just 5 teams across the country sponsored by the Girl Scouts.
It's really hard getting girls into robotics just because girls think it's like, ooh, it's a boys' sport, but it's not.
Besides this year's task of stacking boxes and recycling bins, there's a broader vision behind these safety glasses.
Girls just need to get into this. Like, they need to look past the whole stereotype thing and just go, this is really cool.
Women represent less than 1/3 of all workers in science and technology fields, and less than 1/7 of all engineers.
Girls can do the same thing, so they don't really have to have that hindering them. They just need to know that that's what they like to do and that's what they should do.
Everyone on the team has a job, a role to play in setting Bolt's course.
It's a circuit breaker like in a house, only smaller.
The wiring is 14-year-old Emma's handiwork.
It was absolutely incredible to know that that was something that I did and it actually works.
So you're learning things. When people say you can't do it, just do it. So that way you can go back later and saying, I did it. Now what do you want to tell me I can't do now so I can go do it now?
We can totally do this, girls, honestly.
The metallic clouds give their robot direction.
Good on this side.
And get a little of their own in return. You can't drive.
Definitely, it's dangerous out there.
On I-35.
It's an exercise for my patience.
Without traffic.
It's a headache, especially on Friday.
Carrie Harris sees a lot of wrecks.
Every time you turn around, there's an accident, especially in Lorena. It's like, between Temple and Lorena, it's like there has to be an accident every day.
We looked at 7 work zones where construction is still going on. In all of them, the number of wrecks jumped considerably after work started.
One person slams on the brakes, and then you've got a whole line of people.
Let's look at a few zones. In Section 5B between West and Abbott, there were 108 crashes the year after construction started. That's 40% higher than the year before work started. Between Waco and West, which TxDOT calls Section 5A, there were 226 accidents in 2009. That was the year before construction started. In 2011, there were 341 wrecks. That's a 50% jump. And in Section 3A-2 between Troy and Bruceville-Eddy, TxDOT recorded 179 accidents last year. That's 77% higher than the year before work started.
The way the construction zone is set up.
William Stogner is a corporal for Bruceville-Eddy Police. In the last year, the department has seen accidents within city limits double.
You know, this car hits that car, which pushes that car into the other vehicle, which pushes that vehicle into another vehicle. And before you know it, you've got 6 cars that are involved in a crash.
What's worse, when that happens, delays can be unbearable.
I-35 is hell.
And it's near impossible to clear up quickly.
It's also a process for us to get the trucks and their trucks in when traffic's already backed up and we're trying to get in the barrier walls and everybody's at a standstill.
It's no secret that those walls cause most of the major headaches.
Yeah, they got a lot of them concrete barriers. I mean, a lot of them. And they're dangerous.
But it turns out TxDOT doesn't really have a choice. The agency says they have a very tight corridor to work in. And whenever there are workers within about 30 feet of the road, crews are required to put up those barriers.
We avoid it as much as we can, but inevitably there's times when we have to have barriers on both sides of the road.
It's real intense though, driving within the cement walls there when you're, around the semis.
But it's hard to blame the barriers when drivers just aren't following the law. The speed limit between the walls is 60, but police say it seems like there isn't a limit at all.
They're not going to slow down. They're not slowing down at all for even us out here.
Corporal Stogner once wrote a ticket for 112 miles an hour. One thing he thinks would help is getting rid of the 70-mile-an-hour speed limit completely, at least while the work is going on.
I do believe it's a mistake. I would like to see them slow the speed limit down to 60 miles an hour.
That way drivers aren't surprised by sudden changes that will keep on coming.
I know how to get off the highway and take some back roads, but I'm sure it's not that way for everybody.
Over the next 4 years of construction.